All right, got it. All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Nun Beis. So we have a Mishnah here. Mishnah at the bottom of Nun Aleph and Beis, 2 lines in the bottom.
Oh, I see.
Sure. Use this copy one.
He
was hoping. All right, welcome. You go. Mishnah says, "Hanayder min hachalav mutter bekum." So one who goes ahead and makes a nether from milk, he is mutter. The kum was like the whey, sort of like the watery substance that comes from the milk.
Whey.
I said whey. I said what? I said this is whey, and then
Way to go. Good eye.
So hanayder min hachalav, so mutter bekum. So one who makes a nether from milk, he's actually mutter in the way it's not considered to be part of the chalav. Rabbi Yosi Eiser, however, Rabbi Yosi says no. When you say milk, it includes also kum. We'll soon see the Gemara how it basically, it's a reference to what people said in their places and what they meant when the person said milk. Minakum. Person makes a nether minakum. You're not going to have any way. So he's mutter b'chalav. He's mutter with milk, and we don't see vice versa, the opposite, in terms of Rabbi Yosi arguing whether he would be Eiser in that. But we'll soon see the Gemara will bring a case in a brisa where basically the whey is whey and then the milk is the milk. But over here, l'chayra, according to this, if he says whey, that definitely excludes milk. Now, Abba Shol Omer, hanayda min gvina, one who says the nether from a gvina, aser ba. So one is aser on all types of cheese, beid malucha, whether it's salted, which is the more popular, or at fela, or even something which was not, which is unsalted. But all types of cheese won't be aser from. Now, one who goes and makes a nether from meat. Mutter b'roitev rakifa. His mutter is he's with the gravy, the sauce that comes from it, the juice that comes from it. And also the kippah, which the Ran explains, is little pieces, dak shabasar, right? Little shreds of meat that come from the meat. So that is not included in. That's like a byproduct, almost like something falls off of the meat. That's not included in the meat, the shreds. Rabbi Yehuda Eiser, however, Rabbi Yehuda says no, that's Aser. And I'm a Rabbi Yehuda, Meiser Yisrael Leinu, Rabbi Tarfon, the Beitzim Shenisvashlo Ima. It was a Meiser. Rabbi Tarfon went ahead and he asked even the eggs that basically were cooked together in the same pot as the meat. In other words, since they had the flavor, since they were cooked together, they had the flavor of the meat. They're cooked together with the meat. Therefore, these eggs are usher when one asks himself meat.
Like putting them in chocolate.
That would be an example of putting them together. Yeah. So Amru like Kenadavar. So he says, yeah, indeed. However, Amasai, when is this true? Bisman Sheyamar Basar Ze Alai. When you say this meat is usher, and then you go ahead and you cook it with other items, and they go ahead and they absorb some of the flavor, right? If he says basar zelai, sha'anayde min adavar, so therefore now you basically made this piece of meat, this item itself is aser, and therefore the nisari ba'acher, if it comes mixed with others, if it adds flavor, then it's aser. Right, and so therefore you have to have a case that's not bottle, right? You not say it's bottle and it's nice and tam, and therefore it's usher. Now, so Rashi is
would be usher also.
So the eggs would be usher because we're talking about, in this case, the scenario must have been we talk about basar zeh, and then it became mixed with something else, and therefore it becomes usher because it comes a chaticha disur. So the Ran over here, what's all this?
Is there any
Ran
quantity limitation? Or like
in terms of the amount? No.
If you lose the concept of meat.
So
by product, a byproduct.
Right. So over here, as long as it is not, it's not bottle b'shishim,
right,
and it's nice and tam. Okay. But however, so the Ran over here, what's this Ran going about? So Ran asked a question if you just look at the top, the last long line on top, the kasha, right? So what's this round going on? So he's always there. Because right, it's nice in time. It's us. If it doesn't give flavor, it's mutter. So davar sheish matirin, and there was something which eventually will become mutter. It's considered davar sheish matirin because by nadarim one should go ahead and have the neder have it nullified and have it revoked. So therefore, it is possible for the eggs to become mutter in a different way, right? Mm-hmm. You have it also in a different way by having the neder revoked, and therefore you don't have to say, well, since it's not nice in time, it's mutter. You say no, even if it's mutter, that's yasser because it's mixed together. You wait davar sheish matir. So there's a whole mahalach here, right? And he gives the simple teretz is. When there's a difference between min b'mino and min she'ein b'mino. So since it's two, it's not min b'mino here. So therefore, in the case of when it's min she'ein b'mino, so therefore you can say, despite the fact it's davar sheish matirin, therefore you would you'd be able to say that it is indeed nullified. So that was the Ran goes through a whole lumdus over here and the explanation of different parts of this.
The no same time from Kashus that's
yeah, right. Right. So a lot of this, right. Anybody who gets their smicha is has to know this this Ran and what things when it gives over. Fine. So that was when it comes to the meat.
Yeah.
One who makes another from wine. So mutter b'tam sheyesh b'tam yain. He's mutter to go ahead and have something that has wine flavored. It was cooked. Maybe there's some wine in there. So therefore, that'll be okay. However, Omer, because that's not wine. One doesn't refer when one calls something wine. He's not referring to a dish that potentially tastes has wine flavor. However, he says kainim yain zeh, this wine, and then that wine is used to cook a dish or something. Shani tayim. But not the nafal atavshin, it falls in a cooked dish. If you can taste it, then harez us. Then it's usher because over there, that is the yayin zeh that he was referring to. Right. So that was the Mishnah. Zak the Gemara. Turn the page.
That's a big run.
Zak the Gemara. I asked a question. So we started off by saying that the Mishnah, the Tanakam over there says Chalav is different than Kum. And it comes Rabbi Yossi says no, Chalav, Kum, same thing. It's all like everything is like in the same category. One who goes out and makes now they're from lentils. Adashim Asur Bashishim. Rabbi Yossi Mater, he's Asur Bashishim. That's also a type of lentil that's included in the category of lentils. And Rabbi Yossi says it's mutter. It's different. It's not exactly the same. So I understand. In our case, in the Mishnah,
kind of.
Yeah, there's the type of like lentils that they're. Where are they from? They are honey fried lentils, right? Southern fried, right? They right? But dvash, right? Yeah. So it says Yerushalmi, right? Right? They're made like sort of like the with honey, right? Honey, not honey roasted, but honey dipped type of lentils. But anyways, it's two different categories. So, and Rabbi Yossi says because it's two different categories. But what do you mean? In our Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi was the one who says milk and whey is the same thing. So why, when it comes to Adash and Ashishim, why is it different, right? So like Kasha, Marki Asri. No, each one depends on what went on in their town. The Asi the Rabbanim in the town of the Rabbanim who the Tanakam in the Mishnah. Karla Chalva Ula Kuma. There was two different things. There was milk. Milk was milk, and whey was whey. However, Asi Rabbi Yossi, but in the town of Rabbi Yossi, the Kumanami Karla Kuma the Chalva. When they used to call whey, so milk whey or whey of milk. Right? I guess milk whey. So Milky therefore, Way. Right, not Milky Way, WHEY, right? So he says, so therefore, when one says milk, he also includes whey in the town of Rabbi Yossi. And Tanya learned in the Rice, one who goes that makes another from milk, so he's mutter in the whey. Mina Kumi makes another from the whey, mutter b'chalav, he's mutter. Mina chalav And by the way, also if he says one from milk, then he's mutter begvina, and then he's mutter to go have a cheese. It's not considered to be milk. And mina gvina. And if he says from cheese, mutter b'chalav, he's mutter milk mina reitev. If he's from, I guess, some sort of a sauce or gravy, mutter b'kipa, then he's okay, right? In different types of, slices or shreds. And if he says the kiva mutter b'chalav, he says from shreds of meat, then he's aser. Then he's mutter in the reitev. But if he says this meat, making it the chadik le'isura, a lie, aser, this is aser, the right though, and it's sauce and it's gravy, the kiva and it's shreds, and hanoidim min yayin, one that makes another from wine, mutter b'tavshil sheish b'tam yayin, he's mutter to go ahead and then eat a dish that has a taste of wine. However, amar kaidim yayin zeh, but this specific bottle of wine is aser to me, shani tayin, that from me tasting, benafal l'seicha tavshil, then it falls into a dish, imish b'tam yayin, if you taste the wine, then harez aser, then it is aser. Yeah.
Who falls into wine?
If the wine falls into a dish. Zag the Mishnah. Hanayder min anavim, one who goes ahead and makes a nether from anavim, from grapes, mutter b'yayin. So even though wine eventually is a product of grapes, but he didn't mean it or any of its byproducts. He meant grapes, and therefore raisin could be different, right? But it doesn't touch on raisins. So, so grapes, wine is okay.
It's like you say,
Min has a
corn,
sin.
like you say corn, and then it can have bourbon.
It comes up from there, yeah. Right, yeah. Min has a sin. I was trying to figure out where he's going with that. Like corn. Was it corn like cow?
Yeah.
So min has a sin.
I'm sick of
So
bourbon.
person makes a nether from olives. Mutter b'shemen, he's mutter in oil. However, if he says these olives or these grapes are forbidden for me from tasting shanitayim, so in this case, aser b'hen kiyotzi b'hen. So he's aser for them and those things that come from it, right? So those things that come from it, right? Right, from these ones. So in other words, anything that comes from there, so these are forbidden to me, to my tasting, right? Sheni Tayim. So now that's the Gemara, that's the Mishnah. So the Mishnah wants to know, so Elu Davka or Sheni Tayim Davka? So what's the kicker over here, right? It's like a double lush, right? It says, the first one just says grapes, then it's mutter even from the wine. He said, these grapes from my tasting, then it's aser. So is it these, right? Is it elu? Is dafka? Is that the kicker? Is it sheni toim, right? That from my tasting. So which one is the real issue here? Maybe it's both, right? So elu dafka, sheni toim dafka. So I say elu dafka, sheni toim lamali. And if you think that elu is dafka, it just says okay these. So why then? If that's the case, so why would you have sheni toim? So maybe you can say hakamash the afaga dama sheni toim. Even if you say these grapes my tasting are aser, idam are elu mitaser lo. And only if he says elu, then it'll be aser. But if not, then it'll be, if he just says grapes for my tasting, then maybe that would still be mutter, right? That would still be mutter, even the wine that comes from it. So Amar Rabba's gonna come with his first attempt. Tashma, come and listen. Kaidem Peros ha'elu alai. Right, so this is like the ela, right? So he said, or elu. So these fruits are aser upon me, or kaidem ha'elafi, or these are aser to my mouth. Aser b'chilufeyan v'gedulehan. Is aser to go. These fruits are aser, and also that which you exchange for the fruits, right? You trade somebody your fruits for Slurpee, right? Slurpee is now aser. Or if you go ahead and you plant these fruits, right, and the apple tree, right, comes from it, right? Assuming it was an apple, right? So then those are aser. But it doesn't say that. So those things are aser. But it sounds like things that come from the apple, such as, let's say, apple juice, right? That'll be mutter, right? So you see, even though you use the word elu, right? So something that comes from that item is mutter. And therefore, elu is not the kicker. That's not the main part. Mara says, no. Who did the feel and usher? No, opposite. Even if he says, if he says elu, then not only the apples usher, right, and trees that grow for it or an exchange, but certainly, right, certainly apple juice is usher. Why? What's it teaches that certainly the apple juice is more usher than, let's say, something that was traded for it, because the apple juice actually comes from the apple itself. The other one is just an exchange, and it's teaching you that something which is an exchange is just like something that grows from it, which is also something that changes form afterwards. But that grows from it is different, is more distant than something that comes from it. So the closest relative, quote unquote, to, let's say, the grape is the wine. It's not the grapes that grow in the future or something exchanged from the grape. So therefore, you don't need to say that wine is us if you say these grapes. So therefore, that's not a proof. So Tashma, come listen. Sheni Eichel, Sheni Tayyip. So it says over there. Also later on in that brisa, so it says over there, from my eating, right? Sheni Tayyim, or for my tasting. Mutter b'chilufim gedolim. If he doesn't say elu, he just says Sheni Tayyim or Sheni Eichel. So he's mutter b'chilufim gedolim. So only those from you eating or tasting is usher, but if you want to exchange it or something that grows from it is mutter. Sounds like you only said those things are mutter. Yaitzim in an usher, but sounds like something that comes from their eye. If it was grapes, then the wine would be usher. Gemara says no, can't make that diuk. Why? I didn't really know. Since the previous ratio, which you just taught, it didn't mention Gduleim. It didn't mention Yaitzim from it because it just taught, because that was the same as the item itself. It only wants to go ahead and teach you Chilufei and Gduleim. So it says, I need to lay nasa bereisha yaitzim, but nasa the nami b'sev yaitzim. Therefore, also the sefer wasn't dealing with yaitzim. But if you wanted to go ahead and teach the halacha when it comes to this case, when you say sheni tayim, sheni eichel, then you would say pashut also that it's mutter, that perhaps it's nothing included. It will be part of the item itself, but not similar to the chilufei and gedulei. So there is no proof from there. So Tashma, come listen. Amir Rabbi Yehuda. Let's take a look at our Mishnah. We had the case of the eggs. The person says meat is usher, and then comes along Rabbi Tarfon and asks. It says Rabbi Tarfon came along and asked for the eggs that were cooked with the meat. And Amr Lo, the answer is okay. What was the case, right? What was the situation there? A Masai. This man Shamar Basar Ze Alai, when he uses the word Basar Ze, which is very similar to Basar Elu, right? Same thing. Basar Zelai, Sha'anayder, right? Mean Hadog or Vidisari V'acher. The Yesh B'Manais in time over there when he was made a nether from an item, and then it got mixed with something else, and therefore it's nice in time, therefore it's Asa. Harez Asa. So what do you see over here? That the word Elu or Zeh is the kicker. That makes it, and anything that comes from it, a byproduct or Yaitzim is Asa. So the Gemara says, right, so the Gemara says, no, no, you're right. Elu, everyone agrees. A person just says basar or basar elu or basar zeh is asr. Everybody agrees, or these grapes, right, that everyone agrees that even the wine is asr, right? So the dafka hu, the dafka hu, ki boilon the sheni tayr. Really, only the case where a person doesn't say elu or zeh. We're only talking about the case of sheni tayim, dafka or lav dafka. So does sheni tayim mean just these from my tasting? In other words, I can't taste the grapes, or does it include also not only can I taste the grapes, but I can't taste the wine that eventually will come from it? So Tashma, come and listen. Doggy. We saw earlier. A person says fish or fishes, right? Sheni tayim. All right, no, it only says sheni tayim. It doesn't say these dugim or this dug, right? Or dugum or dugim, right? It just says dug sheni tayim, right? From my tasting. Aser behen, it's aser to them. Ben gedolim, ben ketani, whether large or small fish. Ben chayim, ben muvushalim, or whether they are raw or whether they're cooked. But mutter, the taris, the trufa, ubatzir. And he's mutter to this, the smaller. Shredded, chopped, some of the fish that dissolve, or the brine or the juice, right? Now the brine is a byproduct from the fish, just like wine comes from grapes, brine, right, would come from the fish. And what do you see over here? They say sheni tayim, right, is those parts are mutter. So you see, if a person just says sheni tayim, one would be mutter in the wine. So where it says amarava ukvar yaitzim had. Now, maybe over there it's different. If the brine already came out of the fish, so it was already right. It was already taken out of the fish. So therefore, when he asked the fish, the brine was no longer part of it. So therefore, since it already left, so of course it's a mutter, right? It's not considered to be fish. But maybe when he asked her these fish, and in the future brine would come out of it, maybe that brine would also be usher because it was once part of the fish, and therefore you don't have an answer to our case of sheni tayim in the case of grapes, because yes, anything, if it was wine that's already taken out of it, then of course extracted from it, then of course that would be mutter. But what about the wine in the future from these grapes, from this tasting, is that usher or not? Right, so that's the point. So if it's an elu avadai, it's usher. So but we don't sheni tayim, that's still a question.
What is it?
Go ahead.